How's it going, everyone? My name is Dan, but you can call me Malone, and today's video is going to be a little different than normal. So last week an article appeared on the Financial Times entitled Why Financial Literacy Matters More Than Ever, and was written by Patrick Jenkins, who is the Financial Times deputy editor. The article was written to discuss the Financial Times' brand new initiative which seeks to improve the financial literacy among the most vulnerable in our society. While I was reading the article, I found myself in absolute agreement with everything that Patrick had to say. Some of the points that he brought up were the very same reasons why I decided to start Malone Financial in the first place. He also had some very compelling takes around financial literacy and its importance in achieving sustainable financial independence. So because I enjoyed the article so much, I thought we'd go through it together in today's video, and I can chime in on any of the points that I think are the key takeaways of this piece. But before we begin, as always, if I could ask you to please drop a like on the video, it really does help me out a lot, as YouTube pushes the video to bigger audiences based on the number of likes that the video gets. And if you are new around here, please do consider hitting that red subscribe button below and turning on the bell for video notifications. We make financial education videos on this channel aimed at making conversations like these more of a cultural norm. And also do let me know in the comment section if you enjoy this style of video. If the video gets a good reception, I'll definitely consider doing more like it in the future. So without further ado, let's get started. So right off the bat, the very first line of this article caught my eye. Patrick says, growing up in a just about managing former market town on the fringes of South Wales valleys with a music teacher dad and a psychologist mum, there weren't many signs to suggest I would develop an interest in finance. So the reason why this caught my attention is because this is the exact set of circumstances for most people, including myself, when it comes to finance and conversations about finance being in the family from a young age. The vast majority of us won't have parents, brothers or sisters who are employed or formally educated in the field of business or finance. So therefore, any exposure to conversations around financial education from a young age is going to be totally dependent on a combination of the life experience of our parents and siblings, as well as our own initiative. But what ends up unfolding more often than not is that these conversations never end up happening, and most individuals never receive any exposure to financial education at a young age. So the article continues by saying, we no longer live in a world of paternalistic employers, nanny states and friendly bank managers. The shift towards a myriad choice of financial products, self-determined retirement planning and sometimes unscrupulous companies that seek to exploit us has made it steadily more important for all of us to have a firm grasp of basic finance. Your mobile phone contract might be great value or a horrible ripoff. Your credit score can rule your life unless you understand its mysteries. I really like this paragraph because it paints the picture, so to speak, of our modern day financial economic environment. The myriad choice of financial products, as the article puts it, is only getting larger over time. For me personally, I'm finding that as the financial product pool expands, the more likely I find individuals are to put their hard-earned cash into an investment, and I use that term lightly, that they don't truly understand. For example, how many of you have seen an advertisement on Instagram for Forex trading promising you a millionaire fortune? How many of you have been told by your best friend's cousin twice removed that Dogecoin is going to become the next Bitcoin? The combination of an ever-increasing financial product pool along with the growing get-rich-quick mentality is definitely cause for concern, and I definitely agree that it's making it more important than ever to have a solid understanding of finance. So for this next part of the video, I'm just going to take some individual quotes from the article which concern financial literacy in today's education system. Financial literacy is theoretically part of the school curriculum across the UK nowadays, but in practice it is patchy, as in much of the world. The article then continues by taking a quote from Anne Richards, who is the chief executive of Fidelity International. Perhaps the building blocks of how mortgages, credit cards, insurance and pensions work might be more useful than trigonometry. Anne believes that real world money maths is likely to be far more useful to most people than the abstruse mathematical concepts taught in the classroom. Okay, so this part of the article is very important. On the one hand, I definitely do believe that there is a lot that could be done within the education system when it comes to giving individuals a solid basis of financial education. Now that being said, I do have friends who are teachers, and from having conversations with them, it's clear that it's not as simple as just saying do this and everything will be better. As I've mentioned multiple times before, the only way that we as a society can collectively ensure our financial literacy is to normalize conversations around the topic. So yes, making changes to the education system would be a start, but it's not the whole 9 yards. But the reference that Anne Richards made to trigonometry is interesting, person, because I was only having a conversation the other day about how, in my opinion, schools should offer different types of maths classes. For example, in school, I didn't enjoy maths at all and I wasn't very good at it. However, when I went to college, the modules that I performed best in were the numerical modules such as accountancy, taxation, and finance. So my take on that will be that I'm more adaptive to numerical problems when they're presented in a financial or business context, in the sense that this is the format in which they make the most sense to me. So an idea of how we might start improving financial education in schools might be to adapt some of our existing mandatory modules such as maths in order to allow students to connect with the subjects from the perspective of real life financial issues. For example, the financial workings of loans, inflation, compound interest, and discounted cash flows. Andy Haldane, the Bank of England's chief economist and vice chair of the National Numeracy Charity, states, "What a shame it is that we have a huge repository of financial literacy in one tiny part of the country, and a huge need for it everywhere else." For Catherine McGuinness, policy chief at the City of London Corporation, the scale of the current economic crisis will highlight the gaps in people's financial understanding, as well as exacerbating their problems. At a time when national and personal finances are taking a hit, it's more important than ever that people understand complicated concepts such as interest rates and inflation, she says. If we're to have a sustainable recovery, it is vital that people understand how their financial decisions will affect them over the short, medium, and long term. These two sections of the article are important because they highlight the disparity of knowledge that exists when it comes to financial education, and the impact that this disparity can have on those who do not have what would be considered to be a sufficient level of financial education. Andy Haldane makes a great point in that you typically have a very concentrated supply of both resources for financial education as well as individuals who have a significant background in financial education in small pockets of society. But the consequence of this is that the rest of society gets left in the dark when it comes to financial literacy, and oftentimes those who are left in the dark are also the same individuals who would benefit most from having some exposure to financial education. Catherine McGuinness then highlights the importance of individuals understanding the consequences of their financial decisions, especially in an economic environment where uncertainty around interest rates and inflation exists. And this is one of the main reasons why I started Malone Financial in the first place, because it's so important that everybody at least has the option to actively improve both their financial education and financial literacy in order to obtain some level of sustainable financial independence. So it's great to see an institution like the Financial Times recognize the importance of this fact and provide an additional platform for individuals to improve their financial know-how. The article then continues with a great discussion with Anna Maria Lusardi, who discusses the disparity of knowledge between genders. She begins by saying, "Money headaches cannot necessarily be solved by financial education, but knowledge can help enormously. While insufficient income is clearly the genesis of poverty, gaps in basic financial knowledge compound the issue considerably. Financial literacy is a shield against shocks," she says. And I agree with this totally. While having a strong level of financial education will not provide you with any level of financial certainty with respect to your salary, monthly expenses, etc., what it will do is lessen the likelihood that you'll make financial decisions which will ultimately end up making your situation worse. For example, taking on excessive amounts of debt, insufficient budgeting, and not considering how best to utilize your cash. So by actively improving your financial literacy, you're providing yourself with a shield, as Anna Maria puts it, against any financial mishaps that you might have ventured into had you not had the financial education in the first place. The article and the discussion with Anna Maria continues by saying, "Women's income will typically be more volatile and they are likely to live longer than men, making financial knowledge all the more important. Yet, in a recent research study, she found women knew less on every topic in a series of 28 questions on 8 different areas of finance. In the US, if you are a woman, young, and from an ethnic minority, you are in the worst possible situation when it comes to understanding finance. That is the vortex. Women are left behind," she says simply. And the COVID-19 crisis has made matters worse. McKinsey estimates that around the world, women are 1.8 times more likely than men to lose their jobs in this downturn. It's about empowerment. We owe it to women who are bearing the brunt of this crisis to make sure they are equipped with the financial knowledge to recover. But she stresses the mission must be far broader than that. Literacy in finance, like literacy in language, must be instilled in any community that lacks it. It's about basic knowledge, knowing your ABC of finance. And knowledge really is power. That's true for everyone. So this part of the article was quite shocking because I personally wasn't aware of the disparity between genders when it comes to financial education. Anna Maria makes some fantastic points around the importance of financial education, particularly among women, especially considering the greater expected impact that the current current economic climate is likely to have on women over men. So again, I suppose that the role that we all have is to promote a culture of financial awareness that is pervasive across all aspects of our society. And as Anna Maria notes, the only way that we're going to get there is by instilling conversations around financial literacy within communities that lack it. And in my opinion, the greater part of society lacks this exposure to financial education. So that's why on Malone Financial, I'm making financial education videos aimed at making financial conversations more of a cultural norm. So those are some of the key points in my opinion in the Financial Times article. I haven't covered all the points that are discussed within the article, so if you did enjoy the video, I do highly recommend going ahead and checking out the full article for yourself. I'll leave a link in the description below. To briefly summarize, I think articles such as this one are highlighting the ever-growing importance of financial literacy in today's changing financial economic environment. We all have a very important role to play when it comes to making conversations around financial education more of a cultural norm. And you can help the cause by taking active steps in improving your own personal financial education and financial literacy today. I'll leave you with the big 3 financial literacy questions that are quoted within the Financial Times article. Use these questions to test yourself, and I'll pin the answers to the questions in the comment section below. So I really do hope you enjoyed the video here today. As always, if you did enjoy the video, please do let me know in the comment section below. Leave a like on the video, subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you in the next one. Cheers.